Welcome back at MX-5 Info. This is a 20th anniversary NC Miata from 2010. This was a special edition for the European market, limited to 2,000 pieces and only available in red, white and blue. The trip computer in this car does not show fuel economy and the outside temperature. In this video I explain how to unlock those hidden options. The display in the instrument cluster shows the odometer and a trip meter. You have the option to alternate between trip A and trip B. After the 2009 facelift, some NC Miatas also have the option to show the fuel economy and outside temperature. The challenge is to unlock those additional display options. The display in the NC1 before the facelift is different and unfortunately not designed to show the additional information for fuel economy and outside temperature. Vehicle-specific information is stored in the power control module and in body control electronics like the instrument cluster. The as-built data reflects the features that were built into the car during production at the factory. The vehicle identification number, the VIN, can be used to look up the as-built data in the Mazda as-built data search engine. The link to that site is shown on screen and is also in the description of this video. For this video we are interested in the information for the instrument cluster, which is stored at the address 720.01.01. Based on information that I have found on the mx5miata.net forum pages, I have built an Excel sheet that allows me to analyze the as-built data from the instrument cluster. So in this case, when we read a value from the cluster, then I can enter that value here, and then it shows me what options were selected from factory. I can then start modifying what I would like to modify, and in this case I'm looking at the outside temperature and miles per gallon display. It's currently off. I can flip that bit, switch it on, and that will result in a recalculated value that is shown here at the bottom. So it has the value of the individual bits, but also the last two digits represent a checksum calculation. So when you want to change the value, you also need to take into account that the checksum needs to be correct. So in this case, I could enter that value to activate the outside temperature and miles per gallon display. Then I could also, for example, change the unit of measure from degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. It's currently set to degrees Celsius, so when I change that bit to 1, you will see that there's a new value being calculated here at the bottom, including a change to the checksum. This specific car was not equipped with the ambient air temperature sensor. This is because it has a manual air conditioning system instead of the automatic air conditioning system. Nevertheless, all required wiring is in place. When looking through the grille of the front bumper, you may see the wiring and a temperature sensor. All cars that came with an automatic air conditioning system have that sensor. The sensor is located on the back of the inner bumper bar.
What you see here is a test setup that I made for my work on the NC cruise control. There is a 12-volt line coming in behind the instrument cluster. It is feeding the ECU and the ignition switch. So furthermore, we have the instrument cluster. There is an ambient temperature sensor connected to it. We also have the antenna ring for the ignition lock here when we need to reprogram keys to the ECU, and some switches here for the cruise control, and an OBD adapter connected to the laptop. So this switch acts as the ignition. And as you can see, currently we have some functionality in the trip computer here. We have trip A and trip B, and then it switches back to trip A. If I press the cruise control button, you can see that we have used a laser to make the cruise text in the gauge phase and added the components to the cluster as well. It also means that this ECU is modified to also support cruise control. But that's not the topic of the video. We're talking about how to modify as built data to increase the functionality you can get from the instrument cluster. In this case, we want to make the fuel consumption available and the ambient temperature. The settings in the cluster do currently not support that, so I will use a program called FORScan to make those changes. So this is the main screen of FORScan. I first need to make a connection with the vehicle. The ignition is on, I can confirm that. You can now see that the PCM, the powertrain control module, also called the engine control unit, the ECU, is recognized, and that also the instrument cluster is found. I can then move to configuration and programming, and in this case I'm interested in the as-built data from the instrument cluster. So we can run that service procedure. I know it's not safe to change all of these things, so you should be aware of what you are doing. The first line is what we are interested in, the address 720.01.01. If I want to enable the fuel consumption and ambient temperature in the trip computer, then I need to make changes to this first part. This will be at 25.02. That also influences this last part. Those last two digits are the checksum. What I've calculated, it needs to be 86. And then I can write that information. It is also a good idea to first use save all. With that option you can save the original settings to a file, but in this case it's not necessary, so I will continue to write. I now need to cycle the ignition on and off, or off and on in this case, and then we should have more functionality in the trip computer. As you can see, there's liters per 100 kilometers, and there we have the temperature, 21 degrees Celsius. I could make another change, for example, to switch to degrees Fahrenheit. In that case, I would need to modify that value once more. So now the change is in a different part. I need to increase this by 1, and then also the checksum changes. I can write it, cycle the ignition again, so off and on, and confirm, and then you can see that we have 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's how it works. So now I can go back to the main screen and disconnect from the vehicle. And that's it, basically. As you may expect, the owner of the car is happy with this new functionality. If you liked the video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you have any questions or remark, please leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching MX-5 Info, and I hope to see you again in the near future.